gamers and random surfers of the interwebs. It is me, Kyle, your game tech guy, and it is once again Tuesday, but today, instead of talking about new releases, we're going to be doing a recap of my first weekend with the PS4 and what I think of it. Please understand that this is not a judgment on the system as a whole, because as time goes by, it can only get better from here. This is what I feel about the launch itself and how the console did the first 2 days. First of all, I did get my PS4 at a midnight launch, which was pretty exciting. I did get home hoping I was not one of those 10,000 people who would have one not working, and luckily I was not. The system started up fine. First thing I noticed was the user interface was extremely different than that of what they showed off at E3. Not a big deal to me at first, but as I messed around with it, I got a little more disappointed with it. It is more like a extremely dumbed down version of a PS3 user interface. I was hoping to see, a little bit more improvements in that area as we are in the next generation. A little bit more customization, a little bit more detail. I know it's silly to talk about graphics and stuff on a user interface, but maybe stuff a little bit more flashy. I understand that takes away some of the power from the system having that stuff, but also companies need to realize if you focus on putting all the power in your games, sometimes your user interface and operating system can lack a few things. One thing I do want to shout out that Sony did that a lot of people don't know about is the double tap of the PlayStation button in the center of the controller. Just as a heads up to you guys, one feature that can make things much easier is if you're in the middle of playing Killzone and you hit that guide button and switch over to the internet to look up how to get past the part or for any trophies you're trying to hunt down, you can open up the internet, search that, double tap, and it takes you straight back to Killzone. Double tap again, it's going to take you straight back to your web browser. So a pretty neat feature that makes going back and forth a little bit easier. You can only have 2 things up at once. The system will not run 3 different applications at the same time. As far as the game lineup goes, to be honest, I was pretty disappointed with it. I did get my hands on Killzone, which is a gorgeous looking game. The story is so-so and the gameplay is nothing new and innovative, but you can't really expect more than that from a first-person shooter nowadays. Things are pretty straightforward when you get your hands on those. Knack was a big disappointment, unfortunately. Me, as a platforming lover, I was extremely excited about this. Talk about Jack and Daxter, talk about Ratchet and Clank, like those are games I spent hours and hours on. Love to beat them on the hardest mode, find all the collectibles, and I was hoping I was going to get that in Knack. Unfortunately, it was a very streamlined game. All the secrets and stuff are extremely obvious. When you see a different colored wall and it's got cracks in it, that's where your hidden objects are going to be. Kind of neat. They do say you got to beat it a few times to collect everything. Unfortunately, with the repetitive combat, and even on hard mode, putting a second player on makes it impossible to get game overs. So unfortunately, it's just not what I was looking for. I was hoping with the system's power they'd be doing something really impressive with like open worlds and things like that with platformers. But unfortunately, not something we're seeing yet. So I do hope to see that in the future. Call of Duty Ghosts, I got to play quite a bit of that. Much more impressive than on last generation consoles. I got to give them that one. Was really neat. I did notice quite a few frame rate issues in the multiplayer online when it came to playing Ghost on the PS4 that I didn't see on the 360 or PS3. After seeing this, I understand why Microsoft, even if it wasn't their decision, decided to go with the 60 frames a second 720p, hopefully just to keep those frame rate issues from showing up. Now, as a more casual gamer when it comes to Call of Duty, that was not a problem for me. It was really neat to see those graphical upgrades and to have it running at 1080p. But with Xbox One, I could see how they use that for MLG and a lot of gaming tournaments for Call of Duty Ghost. That they're probably going to want to make sure it's locked in at the 60 frames a second. To a professional gamer, that kind of stuff's a lot more significant, even if it just does drop down a couple. So I could definitely understand why they did that. Another game that was really cool was Resogun. I think that's probably the biggest hyped and one of the higher rated launch titles for the PS4. It's free when you sign up for PlayStation Plus, which is required for online play now. So make sure you snag that one. A lot of fun. After about an hour and a half into it, you unfortunately do start to realize it is an arcade shooter and it gets very repetitive and old. But definitely a new take on those old shooters, something I'm going to go back to many times because of the amount of gameplay they just built in that. It's tons of fun. Really is just a great shout out to those old arcade games. So definitely look at that one. And then Blacklight Retribution was also a fantastic game. It's free to play, but Another downfall of the Sony launch, PlayStation Network, and a lot of the times the Black Light Retribution server was down. So didn't get to play online as often as I would like to, and definitely didn't get to play that game as much as I would like to. My favorite part about the PlayStation 4 launch was actually something that wasn't talked about very often at all, and that's the Twitch TV integration. That worked very well. It's as simple as going to the application on the PlayStation home screen, signing up using your username and password, or creating a username and password, and you can stream any of your gameplay straight to Twitch TV. Using the PlayStation camera, you're able to also put video and audio through there. So it was pretty cool. I got to watch quite a few people play some stuff like Black Flag. I did watch some people play Knack as well, just to kind of see what they thought of it. So really cool. Definitely my favorite feature I've seen from PlayStation so far. And a few more things. I guess the controller would be a huge one for me. Leaps and bounds better than the DualShock 3. Felt really nice actually having triggers. The new thumbstick's really nice. And definitely the way they designed the new controller works much better. Doesn't feel like I'm going to crush it all the time, which is extraordinary. So I'm very thankful they did that. PlayStation camera. Other thing I want to talk about. I got some hands-on time with the Playroom. It was definitely interesting. They do have a Pong-style game on there, which is one thing I probably will go back and play every once in a while just for fun. Everything else is pretty gimmicky, which is what you would expect at first. My only problem with it is you do have to run a standard definition camera. It would have been nice to get HD. For $60, it's probably the equivalent of, you know, about a $15 or $20 webcam you could probably snag for your PC. The nice thing is the video is seamless. When you do this kind of thing, you don't get any lag with your hand or anything like that, so it picks it up pretty quick. It's also really good at detecting the light on those PlayStation controllers. So that's definitely nothing to worry about. When comparing it to something like the Kinect, I actually preferred the original Kinect better. Unfortunately, this camera, like I said, it picks up movement better without lag. But as far as quality goes, there's not much difference there. To where when you're looking at something like the Kinect 2.0, you know, HD hardware, all this stuff built into it, really nice. The videos we've seen look great. Not out yet. I'll definitely talk more about that on my first impression video for the Xbox One after next weekend. But when comparing that to something equivalent like a $90 to $120 webcam that you'd have to pick up from the store, looks like you get a little bit more bang for your buck on that one. I think that is about everything. I hope to see a lot more from Sony coming out of here. Overall, I was pretty disappointed with this launch. Not really enough games to hold back the hype that they were trying to build for their console. And then with all the talk about indie games, I was really hoping to see some really, really great ones launch with the console. But it still seems just like it's a lot of speculation on that, how they're backing indie developers. So hopefully we'll see a lot more indie games. The only thing I'm really nervous about is if you look at the PlayStation 3, from the day it launched to now, it just really hasn't changed much system-wise. Yes, they have much, much better games, thankfully. But, you know, user interface is the same. They didn't really add many new things to it at all. I really hope Sony doesn't get in that rut, hoping that just the power can sell this console that they keep talking about. I really want to see some new innovative things coming in, and I hope Sony jumps on that bandwagon to where they'll take those risks to change things and, you know, really drive some improvements. Get me a little more intrigued in the console and things like that. That's what I thought of that, though. Overall, I probably would give it like a 4 out of 10 for a console launch. Was better than the PS3, but besides that, probably my second least favorite console launch I've dealt with. Of course, the excitement of the next generation was there, and it kept me up till 9 o'clock in the morning the next day. But, you know, it was what it was. Hopefully we'll be seeing some better things coming in the future. Xbox One will be out this weekend. I'm going to do some coverage on that as well. Just like I did with the PlayStation 4 launch, I'll be tweeting on night at game_tech news about updates in different games me and my friends will be trying. If you have any questions, make sure to tweet us back and we will let you know. I will have my first impression video of the Xbox One up, hopefully next Monday or Tuesday, to let you know how things went with that one. You guys do me a favor, and game on.